Two sisters in Fells Point, they need your help tonight. They're more than 200 years old. They've lived a long life, and they're really in rough shape and in desperate need of a makeover.
Now, the sisters are actually two historic buildings on South Wolfe Street. They were built in the same year as when Fells Point was incorporated into the city of Baltimore, way back in 1797.
And ABC 2's Megan Knight, who's much younger, tells us what is happening now to keep those buildings around for another 200 years.
Nestled among the bars and restaurants of Fells Point, you'll find two buildings that have definitely seen better days.
You can easily just walk by and totally miss them.
Back in their day, in the early 1800s, the buildings at 612 and 614 Wolfe Street, also known as the Sisters, served as homes for ship caulkers who worked in the shipyards of Fells Point. In the 1830s and 40s, those tenants were free African Americans.
They could make and do the deals that they wanted to do, and who are contributing, economically to the vitality of the neighborhood and to Baltimore City.
David Gleason is a member of the Preservation Society, which now owns the buildings and has launched a campaign to save them from becoming a pile of scrap wood.
They provide, as I said, a tangible part of our history that we can see and understand how the city grew, how various economic developments happened, and the contributions that everyone made to those economic developments.
There are very few pictures or documents about the home, so it's up to Brian Blundell, who runs an architecture preservation company, to be the history detective and create a timeline of the building's lifetime.
I really enjoy the homes or the buildings of the common people, the buildings that are the stepchilds of preservation. This isn't some famous person and so there's going to be lots of money. This is a challenge. It's telling you there's something to look for. We just don't know what it means.
He looks at roof lines, torn pieces of wallpaper, what's under the wallpaper, and old window frames. The most minute detail could unearth a vast amount of information.
It's something where a new discovery can happen almost every time you come here.
And the sisters could have ties to one of history's most famous slaves turned abolitionist, Frederick Douglass. He lived not too far from the buildings here, and if preservationists can prove that free blacks lived in these homes back in the 1830s, which is around the time that Douglass was working in Fells Point, it's possible he could have connected with those tenants and even visited their homes.
To be able to tie him to these humble beginnings, it shows you how important even the most ordinary things can turn out to be.
The hope is to turn the sisters into a cultural center or perhaps a research facility. It will take time and money to repurpose the buildings, but Gleason says it's well worth the efforts.
It's important that these houses remain and continue our look into our past so that we can understand where we're going.
And preserve our city's history for all to enjoy for the next 200 years. In Baltimore, Megan Knight, ABC 2 News.
Now, you can learn more about the sisters at a free lecture on March 30th, hosted by the Preservation Society. For more details, all you have to do is head to our website, abc2news.com.